talking about yourself and being in the UK, you're in the UK quite often.
Right.
Explain to me what you see as the type of energy and the type of love you get when you're in the UK, when you walk in the streets. Because you did a big show in Brixton about a year and so ago. So tell me how you feel about the UK.
Well, I mean, I've come here before just to work on music, to work with producers, to connect with DJs. I've been here when I didn't even have a show. You know, I just came out here. I think the first time was in 2002, 2003. And basically, I was staying with a friend of mine, Ralph Dog, shout out to him. And we were staying out in like Zone 4. We took like a train and 2 buses to get home and all that. But I gotta say that when I first came here, I had just a voracious appetite for bars and for being on radio and whatever I could do, any underground stuff. And I remember my friend put me on the phone with DJ 279, shout out to him, and he was like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm Immortal Technique. I'm from Harlem. I'll come up there and you know what I mean, I'll destroy the microphone, and if you don't, like, you could throw me out a window, I'm not playing. And I went up there and I just started rapping, and he was like, yo, I love what you do. Like, you infuse the streets with what goes on in the world. So being that I got a good impression from this place from the gate, you know what I mean? It wasn't like, sure, people are gonna hate, but that doesn't matter. Like, I got love from the street here. I got love from people that just heard me rhyme, who I was just walking around the street ciphering with. So I got a really genuine introduction to this place. Besides, I always felt like London always has this attitude that New York had, like in the late 80s, early 90s, where people aren't afraid to boo, you know what I mean? Like in New York, people are afraid to boo. Even if they don't like you now, they'll be like, oh yeah, he rhyming, you know? But in London, I've seen people get on stage and like, oh, for fuck's sake, get him off stage, he's terrible. You toss pot, people throwing shit, they don't care. And I love that, because you're being honest, you're being genuine, you know what I mean? And I just appreciate that. I've always gotten that from the fan base here. I mean, and then it was interesting because I wrote a lot in my bars about so many different cultures, and it just dawned on me that New York is not the only place that has a gigantically diverse population. You know, my range of rhymes goes from Kurdistan to Punjab to Somalia to Ethiopia to Japan to the Philippines, all around the world, to Palestine, to Brazil, to Peru. I mean, I could go on, Jamaica, Cuba, and I just feel like I can connect with people because I want to understand their struggle so I can understand my better. You know, I think that's very important. If you can identify with somebody, and even if you don't agree with them politically, but you can acknowledge their sacrifice and their pain and their suffering, that brings you to a commonality in a level. Like, maybe I don't agree with you about everything, but I acknowledge the fact that your people have suffered. I acknowledge that you've had to pay the ultimate price for your freedom. That means something to you, even though you don't agree with me, and now we can have a civilized conversation. So, you know, I don't care what faction you're from, you know, and I never was prejudiced against somebody because of their religion or because of their race. It never made sense to me. You know, if you cool, you cool. If you whack, you whack. You know what I mean? If you down with me, you down with me. I'd rather hang out with a good Jewish person than a bad Muslim person. You know what I mean? With a good Muslim person than a bad Christian person. You know what I mean? With a good atheist than a bad of any religion. So it's like, I value the content of a person's character. That's something that my father instilled in me when I was a very young child. He was like, you know, sometimes the people that look like you and pray to the same God that you do will be the people that stab you in the back. Don't automatically trust people just because they claim to be about what you're about. They have to prove that. You know, your respect and your trust is something people have to earn constantly. It's not just some one-time thing and then you give it away forever. It doesn't work that way. You know, that's a fool's logic.